Assalamualaikum and konnichiwa. Thank you for joining today's episode of Academy Speaking with me, Azalia. And in today's episode, we will be talking about 3-year PhD programs in Japan, specifically in the field of humanities. Why humanities? Because that's what I have most experience in and what I feel I can talk about with you. So 3-year PhD programs in total for Japan for the humanities in a public university is you will have to have at least 16 credits and your final dissertation in order for you to get your doctorate. Now these 16 credits are spread out, of course, among the 3 years. In your first year, you are expected to have at least 5 credits. Your second year is the one with the most, which is roughly 8. And the least is in your third year, which is only 3 credits. Now, of course, it sounds very little, especially if compared to degree programs and master programs. It doesn't sound like a lot to do, but in order for you to gain even one of those credits, it's gonna take a lot of work. And as you proceed year by year, you'll see that you don't have enough time, or if you don't manage your time properly, it's very easy for you to get left behind or miss out on the points or the benchmarks that you need to reach. So let's talk about the first year. The first year, in my opinion, was the most relaxing, but now looking back on it, I do have a couple of regrets because I do feel that there were a couple of things that I could have done a lot better in order to make my life in third year much better. Either way, as everyone said, when you first start your PhD, especially in the first year, it's always full of doubt, it's always full of not sure of what you're doing, if what you're doing is correct. So it's very normal for things to move slightly slower than you'd expect it to be. The classes were only limited to the first year, which was Kokusai Gakuso Enshu, which was 2 credits in the first semester, and in the second semester was Kokusai Gakukiban Kenkyu, where I got another 2 credits, and Tokubetsu Kenkyu Ichi, which is just 1 credit. So in total, that's just 2 classes, and one of them 2 classes plus 1 session, which is the sessions that I have with my supervisor. I get 1 credit for that. So the classes and the credits are one thing, but alongside these classes and credits, there are also benchmarks or things that you will have to submit or achieve in order for you to move on. Because even if you get those credits, it doesn't mean anything, or it doesn't help you unless you get through these I don't know what to call them, achievement benchmarks. Like they're the things that you have to do in that year. In the first year, according to my syllabus book, there are 3 main things that I had to do, which was actually not really in my power. I mean, like, I didn't really have to do a lot of things for it, which was Shido Kyoin, Hokushido Kyoin no Kette. It's to determine your committee members, and these committee members will be the people who will be involved with your whole dissertation process from first year all the way to third year. For some universities, you are allowed, or you have the choice to choose who you want to be on your committee. However, in my university, I did not have that choice, and the committee members were chosen for me. So you have 1 supervisor, which is your main supervisor, and then you have 2 sub supervisors. Yes, so every PhD student has 3 people to look after them. The next thing on the benchmark is having a Shozoku Gakkai no Kette, or meaning determining the associations, the journals that you will be applying for, or you will be actively joining or submitting to. So this is not very difficult, I guess, but you do have to put in a lot of research into what journals that you want to submit to. At first, when I was in my first year, I also didn't think that it was not that difficult to do. I can just choose any journal that I want and I like and submit to it. But after a lot of rejections and a lot of trial and error, you realize that you do need to do research into what kind of papers that we want and what kind of, if it is very suitable. And I had to learn this the hard way. So really knowing which journal you are aiming to submit to and getting yourself familiar and used to what kind of papers they want and whatnot is also very important in your first year, because getting published is one of the biggest criteria that you have, other than getting credits in order for you to be able to move on in your PhD journey. And the third one is Gakui Ronbun Keikakusho no Teishitsu, which is basically submitting your research proposal. This is also not so difficult in my opinion here, simply because before you enter the program, you are first a Kenkyushitsu or you are a Kenkyusei. You are a research student where you will already have to prepare the research proposal beforehand. So you can basically just use the same thing with a couple of updates, and you usually have to submit this by December. So you have the whole year to actually prepare and make sure that everything is foolproof. And I guess, but one thing that I do regret the most has to do with this, which was my research proposal was not putting more into it and not really looking into every aspect of the proposal that I did, simply because I was very eager to start doing my fieldwork. I was very eager to run experiments, because like humanities, you have to work on your own. You can have your own surveys, you can have your own, literature reviews, you can have your own class experiments and whatnot. So mine was involved in languages. So I was really eager and really excited to start doing experiments, because I've been looking at literature for so long and I was getting kind of tired and I really wanted to something more hands-on. So because of that, I think I overlooked a couple of things in my research proposal that now, when I'm writing my dissertation in my third year, that I realized that, oh damn, you run into a couple of problems, gotta say that lah. But yeah, so research proposal. So basically that's it for first year. That's why I say quite relaxing, but not to be overlooked, and you should be carefully taking into consideration each and everything, because if you play like the game Life is Strange, they have that option, this will have consequences in the future. So it's kind of the same thing here. You will have consequences in the future if you don't really think it through. So that's all for today's episode on 3-year PhD programs in Japan. Hope you guys found it useful, and hope to see you guys on the next episode, inshallah. Assalamualaikum.